Hello. Today we're going to learn about Photoshop's layout in general work area. We're going to be learning about the tool panel. We're going to be learning about the options bar that is directly related to the tool that you select. We're also going to be learning about the drop-down menu. Now, because of the way this program is set up, I don't believe the top bar will be available for you, but when I do go to the drop-down menu, I will tell you which menu that I am using. And then we're also going to be talking about the panels. So just to get started, in Photoshop we have the drop-down menu. And when you get ready to go into Photoshop, of course, you're going to be either opening a new document or creating a new document. And the way we do that is we click on File. And on File, the drop-down menu, we can create a new document, open a new document. We can also use Bridge, and Bridge will be discussed later, but we can also browse for our document in Bridge and bring it directly into Photoshop. We can also open it as a smart object, which will be explained later. And if I have recently been working on various documents, you can find them here in Open Recent. And this is where you're going to be closing and saving, saving for web. The place command here is when I have a document open and I want to bring another photo or graphic design or object into that particular file, I go to place and it will bring it, lay it directly on top of my workspace area. I can also import images and videos. I can also export files to Illustrator. I can render my video. And we also have Automate, and these are various procedures that can be done for special operations in Photoshop. We don't need to worry about the scripts file information at this point, but this is also where the printing command is. Now the next one here is Edit, and the Edit drop-down menu will allow me to do things such as cut and copy and paste, and also undo moves, etc. But one thing to notice about these drop-down menus is that they do have keyboard shortcuts, hotkeys basically, that we can use, commands that we can use to get directly to an operation. So rather than having to come up to the drop-down menu, I could just click Command X and do the cut procedure without having to go up here. Same thing as paste, Command V, etc. And then we have various operations such as filling with a color or adding a stroke. We have some scale tools and transform tools here that when we have a selection in our document, we can make transformations such as skewing and warping and rotating and flipping. We can also create brush in patterns in this drop-down menu, and we won't worry about that. You probably won't be using that. You can create your own keyboard shortcuts here too as well. In the image area drop-down menu, this is where you can make various adjustments to your image. And you can actually change the mode of it to RGB, CMYK, grayscale. You can also do adjustments to the particular document, such as brightness and contrast and exposure. You can add photo filters, gradients, shadows, highlights, etc. And then you have some automatic functions that are also found here in adjustments. But this is also where you will get into image size. This is the actual size of your image. The image, however, may be a different size than your canvas size, so you want to keep that in mind. You also have image rotation if you want to flip something or you want to rotate it. and you can do arbitrary rotation as well. We can duplicate things here, and that's probably all you'll need to know about this drop-down menu. The next one is layer, and we will be getting into discussing layers later on in this course, but anytime you have anything specific to a layer, you will find it in this panel. Same thing with the next one, type. That's specific to anything with type, and you notice that you have kind of a light gray going here, and these will not be highlighted until you actually have text on your document. And then anything to do with selection of something in our image, that's this panel here, and we can do things such as inverse and deselect. We can actually select for colors, and we can modify selections, etc. We can, and there's various things that you're going to be learning. Sorry about that. Filters, these are kind of your artistic operations that you can use for your documents, and you can convert things. You can add blur, you can distort an image, you can do things like make a mosaic and render, you can add clouds and lighting effects, etc. So this is just all separate types of filters that work with your various documents. Working in 3D, this panel is exclusive to 3D functions if you're working in 3D. And view, the view drop down is anything to do with how you see things on your work area in Photoshop, whether it's zooming in, zooming out, screen mode, whether you want to go standard or full screen. Also, you can show grids and work with slides and pixel grids. You can have it when you have the guides, you can snap to your guides so that it acts like a magnet. So if you have the guides up and you do a selection there, the selection tool will actually snap to the guides you have set out. And then in window, this is where we find our palettes, and these palettes in the window drop-down menu provide different functions for what we're doing, whether it's adjustments, brushes, channels, character styles, your text, history, etc. And some of these will be discussed again later on. Also, if you ever notice that your toolbar is missing or your option bar is missing, this is also in window where you'll go to make sure they're checked so that you can see them there. Another thing about this is that if I have multiple images open, I can actually arrange it so that I can see them all at the same time, but default it will consolidate all of my images to tab. And then you have your help menu as well. Now the last thing we'll talk about here in the drop-down menu is you have this little apple up here, Photoshop. In the apple drop-down menu, this is where you can go into system preferences, and you can do different things with your display, etc. You can also go into Photoshop preferences, and in this one you can actually go in and make various changes to the overall Photoshop program. So we will go into not much detail in this right now. Okay, so let's first, we're just going to do a quick review on the tools and the option panel, and then we'll start part 2. So just to explain the tool panel, you have that it's separated by the various functions of the tools. So the first 6 tools here are what we refer to as our selection tools, because they have something to do with selection. The next set of tools, and they're separated by this little narrow line you can see here. This set of tools here are what we refer to as our painting tools, and basically they'll manipulate things such as color, highlights, shadows, making copies of things, erasing, painting, etc. And then this third set of tools are what we refer to as our vector tools. This is where we can create shapes. This is where we find our text, and we also have some custom shapes that are provided for us. Then the last two tools are just miscellaneous tools. The hand tool is very convenient when you are in zoomed in mode and you want to move your document around the work area. And then you have your magnifying tool as well. Then this section here, you see this little arrow, and I can move the colors in the boxes back and forth. This first box is a foreground color. The second one is the background color. To change the colors, I can click in there, and you can go through the bar and you can find where you want the colors. But the color that's going to appear in the box, you need to click in the picker box here. And then once it shows up under new, you click OK. And as you see, we have that color I selected now in the top box. Then you would do the same thing for the background color as well. And then this selection here, which you won't be using in this particular class, but this is a quick mask mode. And then we have various view displays that you can do right at this bottom part. And so that's basically the tool panel. Now, what is very nice about working with the tools is that each tool, and this bar is always found up on the top, but you know it actually embeds itself into the top, but you can also drag it down if you want it to be a little closer. And each tool, watch what happens to the option bar. When I go to a different tool, I have various changes made, options that I can use with my tools. So you can see that the option bar does change with every tool I select. Okay, so this option bar is specific to the toolbar. And then we have our panels. And in our panels, we again, the panels can be found here, and they just give us basic overall functions. And one thing about the panels is you can actually add them so that you can put them together. Okay, and each panel has its own drop-down menu as well, with other options to use for what you're using that layer for. So that's pretty much the overview of the working area, and we will go into part 2, which we will explain the functions of the tools.